The massive round table gleamed under the soft blue lights of the council chamber. 27 seats circled it, each filled by a different alien species. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and a few glowed with inner light. The chamber hung in space, orbiting a neutral star far from any homeworld. Ambassador Taiho Kim sat straight in his chair, the only human in the room. His dark blue uniform stood out among the colorful robes and exoskeletons of the other members. For 30 years, humans had been part of this galactic council. They were the newest members, the youngest civilization to reach the stars. Taiho's hand gripped a small device. With one press, he would change everything. The council recognizes Earth's representative, said High Elder Vex, the oldest member of the council. Vex belonged to the archivist species, tall beings with gray skin and 6-fingered hands. They had been among the first to welcome humans to the stars. Taiho stood up. The movement was sudden enough to make several council members flinch. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, Taiho said, his voice steady. Today, Earth formally announces its withdrawal from all council activities and agreements. The chamber exploded with noise. Some members jumped to their feet. Others shouted in their native languages, causing the translation devices to stutter with overlapping voices. "Order! We will have order!" shouted Vex, but no one listened. The Zenthari representative, an insect-like being, buzzed angrily. "This is impossible. You cannot leave. You maintain critical systems across 17 worlds," called out another. Taiho remained standing, silent until the noise died down. When he could be heard again, he simply said, "Our decision is final. Earth thanks you for 30 years of partnership." With that, he turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the council descended into chaos again. In the corridor outside, Taiho's aide waited. Ju-Yun Park looked up from her tablet as he approached. "It's done," Taiho said. Ju-Yun nodded. "All human outposts have begun evacuation protocols. 93% of our people are already heading home. The others will be gone within 2 days. And the technology, being removed as we speak. Anything we can't take is being wiped clean. We're leaving nothing behind that could be used against us." Taiho rubbed his temples. "Any word from Earth? General Choi confirms that our defenses are ready if anyone decides to react." Poorly. Their footsteps echoed as they walked toward the docking bay where their ship waited. Through the large viewing windows, they could see stars and distant planets. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. "Do you think they'll try to stop us by force?" Ju-Yun asked. Taiho shook his head. "No. They've grown too dependent on us. They'll be too busy trying to keep things running." He paused. "Besides, they never truly understood what we're capable of." As they reached their ship, Taiho received an urgent message. The council was offering emergency concessions if Earth would reconsider. No response needed, he told Ju-Yun. "They'll learn soon enough why we had to leave." Their ship detached from the station and accelerated away. Inside the council chamber, the representatives were still arguing. None of them noticed the small changes already happening in the station's systems, the subtle slowing of data transfers, the slight dimming of lights as human-designed power regulators began to go offline. Across the galaxy, human ships were breaking orbit, human technicians were walking away from their posts, and human-designed systems were being quietly disabled. "How long do you think it will take?" Ju-Yun asked as they entered faster than light travel. Taiho looked out at the streaking stars. "For them to realize how much they needed us. I give it 3 months before the first major crisis. By then, we'll be ready for whatever comes next." The ship accelerated toward Earth, leaving behind a council that had never imagined a future without their human members, a future that was now rapidly approaching. 3 months had passed since Earth pulled out of the Galactic Council. The massive power hub of the Zenthari Collective glowed dimly in the darkness of space. Once, it had shone bright enough to be seen from nearby star systems. Now its lights flickered dangerously. Huan Li watched the hub from a small trading station nearby. She had been the head engineer for the hub until 3 months ago. When the order came for all humans to return to Earth, she had packed her things but never quite made it onto a ship home. "It's getting worse," said a trader next to her at the viewing window. The alien had blue skin that rippled with concern. Q1 nodded. "The coolant systems are failing. See that dark section?" She pointed to a portion of the hub where no lights shone. "That's completely offline now." The Zenthari were insect-like aliens who needed carefully controlled temperatures to survive. Their entire civilization depended on the power hub working properly. Without it, their habitat domes across 12 planets would fail. Billions would die. "Why don't you help them?" asked the trader. "You know how the systems work." Q1 sighed. "Orders. No human tech support." She didn't add that she had already tried to send instructions. The Zenthari engineers couldn't understand the human design systems. Years ago, humans had rebuilt the hub using Earth technology. Now that technology was a mystery to the aliens who depended on it. Her tablet beeped with a message. It was from the Zenthari chief engineer, begging for help as another section of the hub went dark. Back on Earth, General Sang-Hoon Choi studied the reports coming in from across the galaxy. The Zenthari crisis was just one of dozens happening now. On his large walled screen, red dots appeared on a map of Council space, each showing a system failure. "The Zenthari hub is at 38% capacity and falling," said his assistant. Sang-Hoon nodded. "And the archivist library system. Complete data corruption on 3 servers. They've lost access to roughly 12 million historical records." The general walked to a secure terminal and entered his code. A hidden screen appeared, showing information the Council never knew humans had. Files on secret biological testing. Plans for containment facilities designed specifically for humans. Weapons that would work only on human physiology. "Any change in the Council's position?" he asked. "They've sent 4 more formal requests for human technical assistance," his assistant replied. "They're offering increased representation and voting rights now." Sang-Hoon shook his head. "Not enough. They need to understand we know what they were planning." On the Zenthari hub, alarms blared as the main reactor began to overheat. Zenthari workers rushed through corridors, their insect legs clicking on metal floors. Without the temperature controls, many were already struggling to move properly. The hub commander, a large Zenthari with golden markings, called an emergency meeting. "We must request direct human intervention," he said to his staff. "Pride cannot matter now. Survival is at stake." "The Council has forbidden individual deals with Earth," said one officer. "They insist we work together as one voice." The commander's antennae twitched with anger. "The Council did not build our power systems. The Council cannot fix them. Humans did, and humans can." From her small room on the trading station, Q1 watched as the hub sent out an emergency call directly to Earth, bypassing the Council completely. She knew the call would be recorded and analyzed on Earth, but would they answer it? Her tablet beeped again. This time, it was a message from Earth itself. From General Sang-Hoon Choi's office. 2 simple lines of text. "Remain in position. Observe only. Phase 1 proceeding as planned." Q1 looked back at the failing hub. Millions would die if the Zenthari couldn't fix their systems. But Earth had a plan, and she had her orders. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as alien civilizations began to realize just how much they had come to depend on human innovation, human maintenance, and human problem-solving. The first tremors of a galactic earthquake were only beginning. The Council chamber was no longer the orderly place it had been 3 months ago. Half the lights were out. The air felt too warm. Several seats sat empty as representatives dealt with crises on their homeworlds. Council Chairman Zith, a member of the ancient motor species, tapped his long fingers on the table. His gray skin had a sickly look to it. The motor had been among the first spacefaring races, and they rarely showed worry. Today, Zith looked worried. "We have no choice," he said to the reduced gathering. We must send a formal delegation to Earth. We need their help." "They abandoned their duties," shouted the Valkyrie representative, a predatory species with sharp teeth and quick tempers. "Let them live with the shame." "Pride will not power the Zenthari hub," Zith replied calmly. "Pride will not restore the archivist libraries. Pride will not fix our failing systems." After much argument, the Council voted. By a narrow margin, they approved a diplomatic mission to Earth. On the far side of the galaxy, the Earth Defense Fleet patrolled the borders of human space. Since leaving the Council, Earth had doubled its military presence. No alien ships had been allowed past the outer marker buoys. So when the Council diplomatic vessel appeared, it caused a stir. 3 human battleships surrounded it immediately. "Council ship, this is Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. State your purpose," said the human captain. "We come with urgent business from the Galactic Council," came the reply. "We request permission to meet with your leaders." After a tense wait, the Council ship received coordinates for Earth's lunar base. No aliens would be permitted on Earth itself. At the lunar base, young diplomat Hyo-Rin Jang prepared to meet the alien delegation. At just 30 years old, she was considered too young for such an important task by traditional standards. But humans had never much cared for tradition. The Council representatives, 5 aliens from different species, looked tired as they stepped off their ship. Their eyes widened as they walked through the lunar base. "This technology," whispered one to another. "It's more advanced than anything they shared with the Council." Hyo-Rin nodded politely as she led them to the meeting room. The walls were transparent, showing Earth hanging in space nearby, beautiful and blue. "Welcome to Luna Base," she said. "I understand you have concerns to discuss." The lead alien, a tall archivist named Kel, wasted no time. 17 major systems are failing across Council space. The Zenthari hub operates at 20% capacity. 3 of our library worlds have lost critical historical data. Trade routes are breaking down. We need human technical assistance. Hyo-Rin nodded. "And what does Earth receive in return?" The aliens looked at each other. "Renewed membership in the Council," offered Kel, "with increased voting rights." "No," Hyo-Rin said simply. "That is not enough." Kel seemed shocked. "But your people built these systems. Do you not feel responsible for their failure?" "We built systems with clear maintenance instructions," Hyo-Rin replied. "Instructions that were ignored. We offered training programs that few attended. The Council preferred to depend on human technicians rather than learn the technology themselves." As they talked, a door opened and human workers brought in refreshments. The aliens noticed that these workers wore devices on their wrists that no Council member had ever seen before. One worker spoke quietly to her wrist, and lights in the room adjusted automatically. "What is that technology?" asked a Council member. Hyo-Rin smiled. "Just something we developed last month. Earth has been busy since we left the Council." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They were beginning to understand. Humans had been holding back their best technology from the Council. Now, on their own, human innovation was accelerating even faster. "What would it take," asked Kel carefully, "for humans to help restore critical systems across Council space?" Hyo-Rin slid a data tablet across the table. "These are our terms. Earth requires guarantees of security and autonomy before considering any renewed relationship." As the aliens read the terms, their faces showed shock. These weren't requests from a desperate former member. These were demands from a powerful civilization that knew exactly how much the galaxy needed them. 6 months had passed since Earth pulled out of the Galactic Council. The effects were now impossible to ignore. Across the galaxy, trade was grinding to a halt. Jin-Ho Kang sat on the porch of his retirement home on Mars. The red landscape stretched out before him, dotted with the green domes of human settlements. He sipped his tea as he read the latest reports on his tablet. Once, Jin-Ho had been Earth's chief trade negotiator to the Council. For 15 years, he had warned the aliens about becoming too dependent on human ships and human navigators. No one had listened. You were right, said his assistant, bringing him more tea. Trade costs have risen by 5 times. Jinho nodded. Human navigators always found the fastest routes through hyperspace. Our ships were the most reliable. Now the aliens must use their own methods again. He pulled up a star map on his tablet. Tiny dots moved across it, showing the current trade ships in Council space. Before Earth left, there would have been thousands of ships moving along neat, efficient routes. Now there were only hundreds, moving slowly along disorganized paths. Any word from the Council today? He asked. They've sent another request for human navigators, his assistant replied. They're offering 3 times the standard pay. Jinho laughed. Money was never the issue. He had told the Council that many times. Humans didn't work across the galaxy for money. They did it because they enjoyed solving problems. Because they liked to help. The Council had never understood that. Far away, at the edge of Council space, a small trading post faced a different problem. The station shook as weapons fire hit its shields. Valkyrie raiders, shouted the station manager. Send a distress call to the Council fleet. But the Council fleet was spread too thin. Without human ships helping to patrol the space lanes, the predatory Valkyrie had grown bold. Once, they had feared the human peacekeepers who seemed to always be one step ahead of their raids. Now they attacked with confidence. The trading post's shields were failing. The manager looked at the scanner and saw 3 Valkyrie ships circling like hungry animals. Suddenly, a new ship appeared. It was small but moved incredibly fast. It didn't match any known design. Identify yourself. A manager called over the emergency channel. Just a concerned neighbor, came the reply. The voice was human. The strange ship darted between the Valkyrie raiders. Flashes of light erupted from it. Within minutes, 2 Valkyrie ships were disabled. The third fled. Who are you? Asked the station manager as the mystery ship prepared to leave. Are you from Earth? There was a pause before the human answered. Let's just say not all of us went home. Some of us still care what happens out here. The ship vanished as quickly as it had appeared. News of the incident spread quickly. Council members debated what it meant. Was Earth secretly still helping? Or were these rogue humans acting on their own? Back on Mars, Jinho received a secure message about the incident. He smiled as he read it. Interesting, he said to himself. Earth's leaders had pulled all official support from Council space, but they couldn't control what individual humans might choose to do. In the emptiness of space, a small fleet of ships gathered. They were all human-designed but bore no Earth insignia. Their captains were humans who had chosen to stay behind, watching and waiting. Earth won't help them officially, said one captain to another. But we can make sure innocent people don't suffer. The unofficial human fleet dispersed, heading to different trouble spots across the galaxy. They would not let the Council forget what humanity stood for, even if Earth itself kept its distance. Meanwhile, 4 more Zentheri habitat domes failed. A major shipping hub ran out of food. And 3 more Council races began to discuss following Earth's example and leaving the Council themselves. The ripples from Earth's departure were becoming waves, threatening to pull the entire galactic order apart. 1 year had passed since humans left the Galactic Council. The Grand Council Chamber, once a symbol of unity, now showed signs of neglect. Lights flickered, and the air system made strange noises. Without human maintenance, even this important place was falling apart. The 26 alien representatives sat at the table, arguing loudly. Their voices echoed off the metal walls. Chairman Zith looked tired as he tried to keep order. We must increase patrol ships along the Valkyrie border, insisted one representative. With what ships? Our fleet is stretched too thin already, shouted another. In the middle of this argument, the Tellarian representative, Ambassador Lur, stood up. The Tellarians were a peaceful race with silver skin that reflected light like mirrors. They had been among the first to welcome humans to the stars. Honored representatives, Lur said, his voice calm. The Tellarian Commonwealth has made its decision. Today we follow Earth's example. We are leaving the council." The room fell silent. Then chaos erupted. "You cannot leave too," shouted the Zenthuri representative, whose people were still struggling with failing power systems. "Another betrayal," hissed the Valkyrie, who secretly enjoyed the growing disorder. Lur waited for the noise to die down. "Our decision is final. The council no longer serves its purpose. We seek a different path forward." With those words, Lur walked out, just as Taiho Kim had done 1 year earlier. On Earth, in a heavily guarded orbital station, Mai Sun Yun prepared to receive an important visitor. As Earth's new Council Affairs Director, she handled all communication with alien races. "The Tellurian ship is docking now," said her assistant. Mai Sun nodded. "Make sure all security protocols are followed." Ambassador Lear entered the meeting room alone. His silver skin gleamed under the Earth Station's lights. "Welcome to Earth space, Ambassador," Mai Sun said with a polite bow. "Thank you for receiving me so quickly," Lear replied. "The Tellurian Commonwealth wishes to propose a direct alliance with Earth, separate from the Council." Mai Sun showed no surprise, though this was big news. And why would Earth be interested in such an alliance? "Because together, we can build something better than the old Council," Lear said. "Something truly equal." As they talked, Mai Sun's tablet showed an urgent message. 3 more council races were preparing withdrawal documents. The Breen, the Novat, and the Aurilan, all longtime allies of the Tellurians, were also planning to leave. "The council is fracturing," Lear said, noticing her reaction to the news. "Many have seen the wisdom in Earth's choice to leave. The old system cannot continue." Back at the council station, the meeting had fallen apart completely. Old enemies were now openly threatening each other across the table. Without human diplomats to smooth tensions and find compromises, ancient rivalries had resurfaced. "This is what the humans wanted," accused one representative. "They left to destroy us." "No," said Chairman Zith firmly. "They left because we failed them. We saw their youth and thought them naive. We never truly listened to them." On his private ship, returning home, Ambassador Lear sent a coded message to 3 other ships waiting nearby. The message contained just one word: proceed. The Breen, Novat, and Aurilan representatives would announce their withdrawals at the next council meeting. The fracturing was accelerating. On Earth, President Bai studied the reports of the council's collapse with a serious face. "It's happening faster than we predicted," she told her advisors. "We expected the council to hold together for at least 2 years." General Choi nodded. "The pressure points were more critical than even we realized. Without human support, the whole system is coming apart." "And the Tellurians?" asked the president. "Their proposal for an alliance seems genuine," Mai Sun Yun reported. "They want to build a new organization, with Earth as an equal partner." President Ba looked at the star map, showing the spreading cracks in council unity. "Perhaps it's time to help shape what comes next. The old council is dying. Something new must take its place." 18 months after Earth's withdrawal from the council, human technology had leaped forward at an amazing speed. Freed from the council's strict rules on research, Earth's scientists made breakthroughs every week. In a large lab near Earth's North Pole, scientist Du Hyun Pak worked on his newest creation. Soft blue light glowed from the small device on his desk. It looked simple, just a small metal cube, but it was about to change everything. "Good morning, Du Hyun," said the cube in a warm, friendly voice. "Shall we continue the work on the new energy system today?" "Yes, Area," Du Hyun replied to his AI companion. "Let's see if we can increase the efficiency by another 3%. Under council law, true AI companions have been strictly forbidden. Aliens feared the idea of thinking machines, but humans had always dreamed of creating true artificial intelligence, not as servants, but as partners. Area was one of 50 AI companions, now helping human scientists make rapid advances. Together, humans and AIs were solving problems that had stumped the galaxy for centuries. The new quantum communication system is ready for full testing, Area informed Do-hyun. It's 30 times faster than the old subspace system used by the Council. Do-hyun smiled. Let's run the final checks, then inform the President. With the new system, Earth ships could communicate instantly across any distance. Council ships still had to wait hours or days for messages to travel across the galaxy. Far from Earth, at the edge of human space, sensors detected an unknown ship approaching. Earth Defense Fleet ships moved to intercept. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," ordered the fleet commander. The alien ship didn't respond but continued moving deeper into human territory. It used advanced stealth technology, but not advanced enough to hide from Earth's new sensors. "We have a visual," said a crew member. "It's a Sith scout ship." The Sith were known throughout the galaxy as master spies. They worked for the Council's intelligence division, gathering information on potential threats. "They're scanning our research facilities," the crew member reported. The commander gave the order, and human ships surrounded the Sith vessel. They didn't fire, but their message was clear: leave now. The Sith ship quickly turned and sped away, but not before Earth's sensors had gathered complete information about its technology. "Their scanning equipment is at least 3 generations behind what we're using now," the commander noted with surprise. On the Sith ship, the captain hurried to report back to Council headquarters. What he had seen shocked him. Human technology had advanced far beyond anything the Council races possessed. New energy systems, new communication methods, new ship designs, all developed in just 18 months. "It appears the humans were holding back their best innovations while part of the Council," he told his superiors. "Now they're developing technologies at a pace we cannot match." The Council's Secret Technology Committee met in an emergency session. Representatives from 7 species reviewed the Sith captain's report with growing alarm. "They've created true AI companions," said one member in horror. "And not just one. They have dozens working with their scientists. Their quantum communication system makes our subspace network obsolete," said another. "They can coordinate their ships and colonies instantly while we still wait for messages to travel." The head of the committee, an ancient being from the motor species, raised a hand for silence. "We face a technology gap that may be impossible to bridge," he said gravely. "In trying to contain human innovation, we push them to leave. Now they advance without restrictions, while we remain bound by old rules and old fears." Back on Earth, Do-hyun Pak and Area finalized the plans for a new medical system that could cure diseases that had plagued alien species for millennia. It was just one of hundreds of breakthroughs happening across human space. "Should we share this with the Council races?" Area asked. "It could save millions of lives." Do-hyun thought carefully before answering. "We will, but not yet. First, they need to understand that being partners means treating us as equals, not as a threat to be controlled." 2 years after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, disaster struck. A deadly plague spread through Council space. It moved from planet to planet, killing billions. 3 alien civilizations faced extinction. The plague started in the Zenthuri worlds, whose weakened power systems could no longer maintain proper quarantine protocols. From there, it spread along trade routes that once had strict health checks that human medical officers used to enforce. On the Archivist homeworld, once crowded cities stood empty. The Archivists, with their long gray bodies and 6-fingered hands, were dying faster than any other species. Their natural resistance to disease had weakened over thousands of years of relying on technology. High Elder Vex, once the respected leader of the Council, made a desperate decision. He ordered his last healthy ship to head directly to Earth's solar system, without permission. "This is forbidden," his aide warned. "Earth's defense grid will destroy any ship that enters their space without approval." "Then we die trying," Vex replied simply. "If we stay here, we die anyway." The Archivist ship jumped to light speed, carrying Vex and 200 of the last healthy members of his species. In Earth's Defense Command Center, Alarms blared as sensors detected the approaching vessel. "Unknown ship entering the outer defense perimeter," reported a technician. No permission code. No response to hails. Commander Jiwoo studied the readings carefully. It's an archivist ship. Old design, minimal weapons, and it's broadcasting something on all frequencies. She activated the communication system. A desperate message played. "This is High Elder Vex of the archivist species. Our people are dying. Billions are already gone. Please help us. Please." The message repeated over and over. Earth's defense protocols were clear. Unauthorized ships must be destroyed. But Jiwoo hesitated. "Arm weapons," she ordered, following procedure. Then she added, "But hold fire. Direct the ship to the outer quarantine station." The archivist ship followed Earth's instructions, docking at a station far from any human world. Medical teams in protective suits boarded the vessel. What they found shocked even experienced doctors. "Over half the passengers show signs of infection," reported Dr. Han Bin Choi to Commander Jiwoo. "This plague is like nothing I've seen before. It attacks the central nervous system and breaks down cellular walls." On Earth, the World Council met in emergency session. President Yoon-ji Ba listened as military and medical leaders debated what to do. "The quarantine is holding," said Commander Jiwoo. "But the archivists say 3 other species face extinction from this plague. The Zenthari, the Novat, and the Orillan are hardest hit. Can we develop a cure?" asked the president. Dr. Han Bin nodded cautiously. "With our AI medical systems, yes. But distribution would require entering Council space with a large fleet. Many ships would be needed to reach all affected worlds." General Sang-hoon Choi spoke next. "This plague may have started naturally, but our intelligence suggests the Valkyrie are using it as a weapon now. They're attacking weakened worlds, taking resources while populations are too sick to defend themselves." President Ba stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful and blue. For 2 years, humans had watched the Council fall apart from a safe distance. Now the crisis had reached a breaking point. 2 billion Zenthari dead already," said the science minister. "The archivists have lost over 70% of their population. The Novat reports similar numbers." "And the Council?" asked the president. "In complete disarray," replied my son Yoon, the Council Affairs Director. "Chairman Zith died last month from the plague. No replacement has been named. At least 8 more races are preparing to leave the Council structure entirely." President Bai turned back to face her advisors. "We left the Council because they saw us as a threat, not as partners. We wanted to show them what life without humans would be like." She paused. "I think they've learned that lesson. Now we must decide if we let them perish or if we help." "The Tellurian Alliance is requesting our assistance as well," my son added. "They've managed to contain the plague in their systems, but they need our medical technology to fight it effectively." President Ba nodded slowly. "Prepare a response plan. If we do this, we do it on our terms. The old Council system cannot continue. Something new must take its place." Earth's World Council chamber was quiet as President Yoon-ji Ba stood to address the gathered leaders. The large room, with its wooden tables and blue chairs, looked simple compared to the grand metal and crystal hall the Galactic Council used. But here, important decisions were made quickly. "We have reached our decision," President Bai announced. "Earth will offer medical and technical assistance to combat the plague, but we will do so under specific conditions." The assembled ministers nodded. For 3 days, they had debated what Earth should demand in return for helping. "Ambassador Kim," the president said, turning to Tai-ho Kim, "you will return to the Council station and present our terms." Tai-ho looked surprised. For 2 years, he had worked on Earth, helping manage the withdrawal from Council space. Now he would be the one to outline the conditions for Earth's return. "The medical teams are ready," reported Dr. Han Bin Choi. "With the help of our AI medical systems, we've developed a treatment for the plague. We can begin production immediately." "And the defense fleet?" asked the president. General Sang-Hoon Choi nodded. We have prepared 200 ships to distribute medical supplies and technical support. They can depart within 24 hours. President Ba handed Tahoe a data tablet. These are our 5 conditions. They are not open to negotiation. Tahoe read through the list. 1. Complete autonomy for human worlds. 2. Full disclosure of all biological research conducted on humans. 3. A restructuring of the Council with genuine equal representation. 4. The right to maintain independent military forces. 5. Freedom from restrictive technology development protocols. These are significant demands, Tahoe said. So is asking us to save the galaxy, replied the president. 2 years ago, they viewed us as a resource to be used. Now they must accept us as equals. 2 days later, Tahoe's ship approached the council station. It looked different now. Sections were dark, and several docking bays appeared damaged. The once proud symbol of galactic unity was falling apart. Inside, the council chamber was half empty. Many representatives had died from the plague. Others had abandoned the council completely. The room smelled stale, and emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across worried faces. Ambassador Kim, said the acting council leader, a Talarian who had recently returned to help manage the crisis. We did not expect to see you again in this chamber. Tahoe walked to the center of the room. I come with Earth's response to your request for assistance. He felt strange standing here again. 2 years ago, he had walked out, leading Earth's withdrawal. Now he returned with the power to help save billions of lives. Or not. Earth has developed an effective treatment for the plague, he announced. The room buzzed with hope. Our scientists have also created technical solutions for the failing infrastructure across council space. When can this assistance begin? Asked the Zenthuri representative, whose people were among the hardest hit by the plague. Immediately, Tahoe replied, but only if our conditions are accepted. He presented the 5 demands to the gathered representatives. Some looked shocked at what Earth was asking. Others seemed too desperate to care. This is not a negotiation, Tahoe added. These are the terms under which Earth will provide assistance. The Valkyrie representative stood up angrily. You would hold the galaxy hostage. Billions are dying. And where was your concern when you planned weapons to use against humans? Tahoe asked calmly. Where was your worry when you studied our biology without consent? We know what certain council members were planning. The room fell silent. The truth that some had tried to hide was now in the open. At that moment, a message arrived. 2 more worlds had fallen to the plague. Another civilization faced extinction. We need time to discuss these terms, said the acting council leader. You have 6 hours, Tahoe replied. Earth's ships are ready to depart with medical supplies and technical teams, but they will not launch without acceptance of our conditions. As the council members hurried away to discuss Earth's demands, Tahoe looked around the chamber that had once represented unity. Perhaps something better could rise from its ruins, something truly equal. 5 years had passed since Earth's dramatic departure from the Galactic Council. Now, Minho Park stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Alliance headquarters, recording his thoughts for the history books he was writing. The massive space station, built using advanced human technology, orbited a neutral star at the center of the galaxy. Unlike the old Council station with its cold metal design, this one featured gardens, waterfalls, and open spaces where representatives from different worlds could meet as equals. 5 years ago, humanity left the Galactic Council, Minho said into his recorder. Today, we stand at the center of a new galactic order. Below him, in the main Alliance chamber, representatives from 32 spacefaring civilizations gathered. Almost half had once been council members. The others were younger races that the old council had ignored or kept waiting for membership. Earth had saved billions of lives with its medical aid during the plague. Human engineers had restored failing infrastructure across dozens of worlds. Human ships now patrolled trade routes, keeping them safe from raiders. But humans had not simply rejoined the old system. They had helped create something new. "Ambassador Kim, we are ready to begin," called a young aide. Min-ho watched as Tae-ho Kim, now 5 years older but still Earth's chief diplomat, entered the chamber. The gathered representatives fell silent. Some still remembered when he had walked out of the old council. Others knew him as the man who had returned with Earth's 5 conditions, conditions that had changed everything. "The third annual meeting of the Galactic Alliance is now in session," announced the Alliance moderator, a position that rotated between member worlds. Min-ho continued his recording as he observed the meeting. The old council had been dominated by the ancient races, with younger civilizations given little voice. Here, each world had equal representation. Decisions required consensus, not just majority rule. The transformation was not easy. Min-ho noted. Many of the old council races resisted at first. The Valkyrie left entirely, retreating to their home systems. But the play had weakened the opponents of change, and Earth's conditions were not negotiable. A ship arrived at the docking bay, drawing Min-ho's attention. It carried the Archivist delegation, led by a young leader who had replaced High Elder Vex. The Archivists had suffered terribly during the plague, losing over 70% of their population. They survived only because of human medical intervention. The most significant change, Min-ho continued, was the end of restrictions on technology development. Under the new alliance, research is shared openly. The fears that led the old council to restrict human innovation have been replaced by excitement about what different species working together can achieve. On the main floor of the Alliance chamber, Tae-ho Kim was speaking about the joint expedition being planned to explore beyond the galaxy's edge. 10 species would participate, using ships with technology that combined the best ideas from each world. "Within our new alliance, humanity does not stand alone or above others," Tae-ho told the gathering. "We stand together as equals with unique gifts to offer." Later that day, President Yoon-ji-bai arrived for a special ceremony. After 10 years in office, she was stepping down, but had come to mark the 5th anniversary of what many now called the Great Change. Min-ho joined the crowd in the main hall as President Bai took the stage. Representatives from all 32 Alliance worlds stood to honor her. "5 years ago, we had a choice," President Bai said. "We could let the galaxy continue on its broken path, or we could help create something better. We chose the harder path." She looked around at the diverse gathering. "We never wanted to watch the galaxy suffer. We simply needed the galaxy to understand that partnership means equality. Sometimes the only way to teach that lesson is to let others experience life without you." The Alliance members applauded. The message was clear to all. Humans had not sought to rule the galaxy. They had sought to transform it into a place where all species could thrive together. As Min-ho finished his recording, he watched ships coming and going from the station, human vessels alongside those of 31 other worlds, all working together to build something greater than any one civilization could achieve alone. The old order was gone. The new had just begun.